Okay. Calm down. Relax. Study Monday. Another one. Hey, Rudy and Lou Rib, how's it going? Lou Rib, the one and only. Hey, Steven, Atsuki, Spectre, Zialin. What's up, Zialin?
Oh, yeah.
Look at that. So today, I have to close this a bit. It's blasting my eyes. Today is a study Monday. And we are gonna study this one. Hey, Fuxia. And Akagria. Cobra. What's up? So I chose this one. There's some nice subtleties happening, and oh, Gria. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Fantastic. Thank you for the support. Anyways, it's not art time if it's not coffee time. Oh, maybe. So I chose this one with the idea of what Fuxia has been studying. Fuxia has been playing around with some of the things I talked about painting or making marks with the volume, with the form, following the form, edge variety, sharp and soft. And in this one, there is a huge range of them. A Rollomancer. So in this reference, it's leaning towards hard and soft edges, leaning towards directional brushstrokes. So we can have some variety there. Hey Miguel, how's it going? So I thought, why not? Why not do some studies based on that? And that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna also play with what's it called? I don't know what it's called. It is called Bjorn's brain. What is it called? It is called soft brush. That was hard to pull out of the head. Oh, Rune, sorry. It's my brain. My brain was not connected correctly. I stand corrected. It is not Fuxia, but it is Runi Tochka, aka. Oh shit! My brain is not working today. Irina. Whew, that was hard. Today my brain is no go. Okay, so how am I gonna do this? All right, so I'm gonna soft brush some shape. Okay, well, I'm gonna do a little bit different today. But the focus is gonna be on what's it called? Edge variety and form and texture. What's with my brain today? Jesus. You'll hear my family in the background. They are incapable of talking calmly. Rollomancer, so you're asking me what I think about the UE5. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be good for the future. A friend of mine and judge at the Unreal Bjorn, Rafael Grassetti, he said a great comment about Unreal Editor 5 or the new Unreal Engine that's going to come with PlayStation 5 and so forth and so on. He said the best comment, and that's always the case with technology, and it's no surprise and all that. He said, try making a 30-hour game using the technology they used for the tech demo. The tech demo, for those who don't know, Unreal Engine, which is a 3D engine, showcased the next generation console graphics. Rollomancer, yes. And what that means is that they have the ability in this next gen engine to up data, real-time lighting, rendering, ray tracing, which means every source of the lamp shoots rays of photons, so you can have like real-time light going through the foliage of trees, dynamically changing because each photon is traced, right? And that will also mean that you can have way more advanced lighting, way more advanced effects and caustics and all these things, because you're actually ray tracing. Ray tracing is going to be implemented live into the engine, which means you can do anything that uses that basic idea of tracing something to the other point. You can up, right? You can have it extremely advanced, which means you can have like unlimited bullet traces, particle effects, whatever you can come up with, you can use ray tracing function with. And ray tracing function uses volumetrics, so you can have it go through fog, a laser going through fog, and you can,
I feel like I should say something smart.
Hey, Joe. Thank you for that raid, Joe. How's it going? Welcome to Study Monday over here at Warmup Central. How's it going, Joe? Today we're studying this photo, and more specifically, we're studying edge variety. So I'm currently building the image with soft, big old soft brush. I'm later on gonna start refining edges and try to work on it. I'm still experimenting with it, but using a big old round soft brush and then sharpening the brush as you move along has some nice effects, and it also allows you to vary the results. Anyways, back to Unreal Engine 5 thoughts, and what I tried to get to was Rafael Grassetti said this comment about try to make a 30-hour game using 3D scanned environments, which Unreal Engine 5 showed, right? They used this technology of 3D scanning real world, right? And they scanned it and implemented in extremely ridiculous high resolution. You can walk around in reality, more or less. It's unfathomable the amount of fidelity that the environment had, because it looked real. Like they had 3D scanned rocks and area, you know, to a ridiculous degree where it looks extremely realistic and high fidelity and bazillions of polygons, right? And what that is, you know, it looked fantastic as a tech demo. To tech demo can showcase the more or less how much shit you can funnel through the bottleneck of the engine, right? Because all engines have bottlenecks, and the higher the tech, the better the tech, the more shit you can funnel through the bottleneck. So this next gen PlayStation 5 just means that you can funnel more shit through it at a higher fidelity, at a higher rate, with a lot more functions to it. So what that means, like his comment means, which is an extremely valid point, is you can't 3D scan the whole game, right? You have to, if you're gonna make, let's say, Super Metroid 57 in space, well, you can't go to space and 3D scan, right? So, and if people are expecting that extremely high fidelity of this tech demo, is that is going to not look good enough, right? So then there's going to be this jarring variation, right? Or variety of quality, where some people will go, well, it's next gen, it should be like everything should look photorealistic, but it's not going to be doable. So what that just means is that this engine will allow creators to not worry about polygons. And you can create a lot more fidelity and a lot more creativity, instead of saying, well, we'd love to implement this, but our memory is out, right? We can only funnel X amount of sized byte packages at any given time. We can't do this because we can't force another one through the bottleneck, right? But with this new engine, it's going to be a lot easier to funnel things through the engine, and you're going to have a lot more freedom to be creative without technical limitation. There's still going to be technical limitation, and like with all next gen event steps, there's going to be a grace period of everyone funneling, just maxing the capacity of the engine, right? They're like, oh look, we have multi-million polygon models, we have 50 of them, look, on one at any given time on screen. Isn't that amazing? Technically pretty cool. Game wise, I don't care, right? So there is always this gap of technical ability and average Joe who's not is not a tech nerd. Pacobra, yeah, exactly. So that's the thing, right? So I'm not too worried about the whole like crazy graphics. What I'm excited about is much like Joe here mentioned, is the lighting. Because you have real-time lighting, more or less, that you only had in certain 3D programs offline, right? You don't have them live running, especially not in games, right? There's always been, if you're not into game dev, you don't know this, but what they always do is they fake real-time rendering, real-time ray tracing. One way that they've faked real-time ray tracing in games is, for example, they make the world and they put floating cubes in the world, and it's like a multi-sample. So if the face of the cube that's pointing downwards, and there's a forest floor with, let's say, magical mushrooms that are blue and a green grass, and the downward facing part of the cube is sampling what it sees and makes it one color, and then it projects that color to anything that passes by it. So you run underneath that invisible cube that has sampled the world offline, so it's not live. It takes that color and just colors you as you walk past it. It's not actually live tracing the color, right? So if you are then orange and walk underneath there, you won't affect live the amount of orange being projected to the grass and to the world, right? It's going to just be simulated and faked, because you can't afford that live tracing. Because the fact that if it's, for example, if it's a multiplayer game as well, most of the time, if something happens to me, you should see it happening as well. And all that data being sent across has to be live, right? You don't want to see it 5 minutes later, because then you're dead already. So it's all these technical issues. And now with this new engine, it's incorporated in a way where all those calculations are live. And it's going to make things extremely beautiful and extremely dynamic, and people don't need to fake it anymore, which is going to be amazing. And you're going to have some really potentially amazing scenarios where that can play out, and you can actually design differently. Because especially in the early 2000s, when you were designing things for games, there's always this technical limitations that you can't design. Like, you can't have as an example, right? Okay, a lot of games that have many different characters of many different types, they share skeleton, because skeleton on the character is a unique model, kind of, with joints right underneath the body that's invisible, and it drives the animations, and it's just one generic skeleton with animation files associated with it. So you can have it jumping, you can have it crouching, but it's the same skeleton, but it's just information that animates it. And if you have alien versus the marine, and if they have similar morphology, as in similar bodies, you can share skeleton. So you only have to have one skeleton memory, and the animation files can vary, right? And that used to be the only way you could design things, was that they had to share the skeleton. So whatever you designed had to be humanoid with similar proportions. So you couldn't go too crazy with like alien legs or 57 arms, and then they figured out ways to cheat that, move around that, and also memory, and the next generation from before came in with like, oh, dynamic memory for skeletons, and you can have all sorts of things. But it's still going to be through that bottleneck, like you have you have all this room to funnel data through. How much of that data is going to be to skeleton, animations, dynamic effects? Hey Lab, how's it going? Hey Silver Skull, what up? Oh yeah, I have a Twitch since this is 5th year of doing half an hour warm-ups. We are halfway through today's study, which is today's study I chose to focus on hard and soft edges, and I'm playing around with soft brush only, where I'm varying sharpness by just playing around with brush size rather than brush sharpness. Because Irina or Nuni Tochka here in chat, she's been applying some of my theories about edge variety and form variety on some feedback of her on her painting, where she had kind of not failed but struggled, and she posted those studies to attempt to up her skill set, and I thought, why not do the same? So that's what I do. So back to the tech pipeline. I think it's really cool. I think I noticed a thing in the industry when around PlayStation 3, I guess Unreal Engine 4, or is it Unreal Engine 3? 4? There was this drive to people got caught up in being able to do what they always wanted to do, right? So they started doing like massive worlds or many different skeletons and all these things. And granted, that's really cool that they're finally able to do it. Now they're happy. But what I find boring, what I've always tried to do in terms of being a concept artist for games like that and studios like that, is arranging my thoughts and designs around the idea of new behaviors, in the sense of, I'm not going to design many different skeletons just because of the fact that I can do it. Maybe for this game, hypothetical game, you don't need to do it. You shouldn't do it just because, right? Because if you just do things just because, there's going to be an empty or a flat or a shallow game. It has to be considered and designed around the fact of purpose. And not so much only visually, but also gameplay wise, because there's too many studios who design as in not visual design, but design as in gameplay, etc., who design it around like gimmicky, just because they can't do it, they do it, not because the game needs it. And I have a really fun French, yeah, Mandalorian uses Unreal Tech for real-time light in the background behind the actor on screens. Anyways, what was I gonna say? I don't remember. Oh shit. Yeah, real-time physics. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Spectre. Yeah, I don't remember. I lost my train of thought. I don't remember what I was talking about. I'm just gonna leave it. Oh yeah, that's right. Right now I remember. Now I remember. DMT. Yeah, exactly. Um, so for the sake of on the topic of designing things for the reason to for it to be there versus gimmicky design decisions, because that's the standards or whatever. So when I was in university, there is this famous game designer called Ernest Adams. He's one of those silver, old gorillas, the silverback gorillas. He's been around since day one and designed all these things and written all these books about design theory, and not visual design, mind you. As in design, as in written form, gameplay, and so on. And I took one of his classes. Spectre, it is still soft brush. See? I just have it smaller. And I took one of his classes in university, and he tasked us to he gave us all random words and said, so you get this word and you face you have to go and design a game based on the word you're given. So I was like, all right. I got given Mongolian and horse riding, I think, or Mongolian and archery, I believe. Anyways, so I went away and started designing things, as in written form. You designed lore, you designed function, you designed all around the idea of designing a game, right? So what the player do, what the reason behind, all these things, right? So not only visual design, but gameplay and or lore, all these things that will inform you about what this hypothetical game is, right? So I just started designing based on those principles, and I based the whole idea around the idea of function and necessity rather than gimmicky and tropes of the industry, right? So instead of me designing just because that's what you should include, I designed around the idea of what are the limitations and what are the functions of this hypothetical world, and then right, you get the idea, right? And I submitted the work and all this, and he more or less instantly said, well, this is gold standard of what I was talking about, and he like took my stuff as an example of designing rather than anything else, and he even was so impressed, and this is me like tooting my own horn completely, but he was so impressed he included me in his book. So I have a part of a chapter for me about this approach I did, and yeah, that's quite funny. But the purpose of what I'm saying is that there when you're designing visually as well, you shouldn't design for the sake of just designing. You should design based on what it is, why is it, and what are the limitations within its own rule set, not like the tropes of what people expect. Because that, when you do that, there's always this tendency of being boring. And that's the same thing like on the topic of 3D engines, game engines, like Unreal. Is like, yeah, okay, we can do unlimited polygons, and they do it for the sake of using unlimited polygons, but what's the reason behind it? What's the purpose of using that? Is it just to use it? Yeah, great, but why should I care? So it's the same thing with like visual design. You should be very careful of designing things just for the sake of designing. You should always consider, why is it there? And in return, you'll have a much, much stronger thing that can stand on its own. And that's not gimmicky. Pacobra, I can't remember. It's a game design book by Ernest Adams. I have it in bookshelf somewhere. Isn't the purpose immersion? Yeah, immersion. But that's just like I said, it's this kind of do it for the sake of doing it. But the immersion aspect is like dynamic world, right? You are existing in the world and it's reacting with you live. I think that's obviously what everyone is going for, and that's way more immersive. And we're going to get more and more of that because we can funnel more and more through the bottleneck. We can just throw functions at it because it can handle it. Like throwing things down a corridor when before we only had what's it called, air vent. Fundamentals of game design. Yeah, there we go. Pacobra. French, most likely, yes. That's the trend currently. Okay, weird, very strange end result today. Definitely not. I need to point something out. My goal wasn't to copy the photo here. My goal wasn't to try to match proportions. The goal in this study was to play with hard and with soft brush and vary the size to see how we can get fidelity without even using a sharper brush. The end result is pretty okay. I mean, for the sake of a 30-minute study of a photo, it's decent. It's not one-to-one, but the intent was never to have a one-to-one copy of the reference. The purpose of doing this study is to learn something, and I deliberately set out to learn about edge variety. So it's okay that it's not perfectly copied, because that wasn't the idea behind it. I wanted to have some edge variety. That is the 30 minutes. It's just my style. Yeah, it's a good excuse. All right. So let's find someone to raid. Let's find someone to raid and pass the gauntlet on to. Man, it does not look good. Should we? That's extremely Swedish pronunciation of should we. Let's go to art. Man. This looks pretty decent. Not too bad. Let's see what this person has to offer. Alright, have a great one everyone. I'm gonna do the outro and then take you to the raid, so don't go anywhere. Have a fantastic day. See you tomorrow at the exact same time, minus 30 minutes for your topic. Usually what happens is you suggest a topic and I draw it in 30 minutes. Mondays are Study Monday. But yeah, so see you tomorrow. Have a great one. Good night. Tools.